Hi, this is Dr. Crochet. I wanted to go over the lesson plan template. This is the template that you will use for each of your 5 tutoring sessions, and it is completed in 2 phases. The first phase is the plan, and then the second phase is when you actually implement the tutoring and make interpretations or decisions based on the performance. Column 1 is the objectives. You need to have 2 objectives. One of the objectives should be a strategy and skill that you're working on to help the child to become successful in reading and comprehending. The second objective is usually on one of the writing aspects. It could be on the process writing, or it could be on the personalized reading and writing. Most students make it on the process writing, working on one of the steps: brainstorming, the rough draft, revising or editing, or that final copy. So I need 2 objectives. The student will be able to, okay. The second column is also part of phase 1. List any materials you'll need for objective 1, any materials you need for objective 2. Column 3 is where I'm looking for the most information in phase 1. You will tell me the strategy and skill. How are you going to model, teach, and explain the strategy? What is the child's performance, beginning performance? How successful are they with this strategy? If you don't know it prior to teaching, you put that and then you add it in phase 2. But most of us should have an idea on their performance in this area because that's why we picked it. They're not very strong in this area and we want to work on it. If you look at the example, you see where there's a lot of information in exactly how you teach this. The next part of column 3 is the process writing time. This is where you are going to work on this child's writing ability. When we talk about the writing process, we're talking about all the steps, and we want our students to know you don't just sit and write and turn it in. This is something that may be worked on all 5 lessons. You may not even complete it in 5 lessons. I've also put a note that you are able to use the language experience, and I have a PowerPoint that explains it. And if you are working with in a school system and you have other students taking the same course, or you have other students who would want to participate in the language experience, you're welcome to do more than one child with this activity. Because of the concept of brainstorming and feeding off of one another's ideas, you complete an activity, 5 to 10 minutes, quick activity. You could go outside and throw the football. You could throw a frisbee. You could do hopscotch. You could do soccer, or y'all's football, UK football. You could make gook. You could make ice cream. You could do finger painting. You could plant a seed. Then you have the students, you put all that away, brainstorm. What did we just do? And you jot down, or you type if you have a laptop or a computer, their brainstorming ideas. You read over those brainstorming ideas, and then you ask them to help to create a rough draft. You write exactly what they say, and then you're going to go back and read it, read the entire thing, then read each sentence by sentence and revise and edit. Punctuation, grammar, spelling. If they start every sentence with I, you'll want to fix that. Maybe you'll help them. You're going to direct them, but getting them to give you the information. But you may have to orchestrate that. You may have to provide suggestions and clues, and how does this sound? So you revise, you edit, you read it numerous times, again and again. Echo read it. You read it, they read it. Chorally read it. Have the students read it and you listen. And then you finally have a final copy. With a language experience, this is for those individuals where writing is very difficult. You are the scribe. I will have students who can generate wonderful ideas, but if I tell them they have to write it, then all the fun goes out of it. The words that they choose are going to be very simple and babyfied because they can't spell. You do not have to do a language experience. You may do another writing activity. but my students have to go through the writing steps. I also emphasize which step we're working on and why. The next part of the lesson is the personalized reading and writing. I want my students to read and write. You and the students are going to share a journal. You have them write about something they like, they want to do. They write about something that you just read and they respond to it. You could be reading something that a comic book, a joke book, or and then they respond. What is their personal opinion, reaction to it? I have some students who are not familiar with responding and don't have that capability. So I do the activity, reading something, responding to something we just did, my opinion, my reaction, and I read it to them, they read it, and then they respond to my response. And this journal kind of goes back and forth. And then the last column that you need to fill in for phase 1 is column 6. Tell me why you decided to use the strategy that you identified above at the top of column 3. Why this strategy? Why are you doing this? Why did you select this? Then after you have your phase 1 up on Moodle, you then implement it. You do have to record or tape 5 minutes of the tutoring and submit on Moodle. The next, after you perform the tutoring session, you have phase 2, which is column 4 and 5. The observations, what happened, and any adjustments that were made during the tutoring session. You can address the text, the task, the technique, and the social context, which is in chapter 6 of the text. 15 points, and then the post-performance of 5 points, a total of 20. Strategy and skill, describe how it went. What did the child do? What did you do? If you made any adjustments. And then at the end of you teaching and modeling and them performing that strategy, how was their performance? Describe what happened during the process writing time. I'm concerned and interested in what the student did as well as what you did and how you responded. Again, personalized reading and writing, tell me what happened. And this column 4 is pretty much done. You're taking notes as you're tutoring. Column 5 is the interpretation, and now what do you think? What are you going to do for the next tutoring session? It's an assessment of the effectiveness of what you taught and how they responded. Their performance did not improve. I'm not going to do the same thing again. I'm probably going to change it. Their performance was fine. It worked well. We're making gains. Then I make adjustments. Do I continue? Do I have more to teach? Do I do the next step? Talk about the process writing time. Tell me about the writing process and how successful they were as to they did great with the rough draft or whichever step you were on. Where are you going to go from here now? And then the reading and writing, their ability to respond. Maybe you didn't respond first, they did, but what they did didn't make any sense. It really wasn't a reflection of their thoughts and opinions, so you're going to change it so that you respond first, they read yours as a model, as a guide, and then they respond after. Okay, at the bottom it says, complete one of these lesson plans for each of your 5 lessons. Column 1, the hypotheses or the objective, and you need 2 of them. Column 2 is the materials. Column 3 is the curricular lesson decision, and column 6, the reasoning. All of those 3 columns, 1, 2, 3, and 6 are completed prior to the lesson. Column 4 are your observations and completed during and directly after the lesson. Column 5 is the interpretations that completed after the lesson but prior to the next lesson. Column 5 is all based on the student's performance and what you think they need for instruction. Then the next lesson plans, hypotheses, and objectives may need to change based on this lesson. Your students' performance should be driving your instruction. Now, each subsequent lesson follows this exact format, and the total points are 100 points each.